Hi, Jay Fallon, and thanks for listening. So, I want to get into two police stories coming out of Queensland, two shootings. One where a police officer was unfortunately injured, rushed to hospital. Looks like he's going to be fine, but undergone surgery for a serious injury. And another where a civilian has been shot after brandishing some knives up in Cairns. So, interesting stories, very interesting. Um, not anyway, I'll get into it. It's you can see the way things are written differently depending on the outcome. But mate, some great news for police anyway regarding the officer who was injured.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Okay, so the first one is the body of a man was found after officer shot during armed standoff on the Fraser Coast, which is in Queensland, just in case you don't know about that. So he's a first year constable. Police officer on his last rookie shift went to a routine welfare check to be met with a hail of bullets in a dramatic siege which put him in surgery and ended in the gunman's death. The constable was just about to finish his stint in Maryborough when he attended the domestic violence related call out at a picturesque property in Yangari and was walking down the driveway when 45-year-old Adam O'Shea opened fire with his semi-automatic rifle. A well-placed source told this publication. It can also be revealed a stranger had just arrived at the property to buy a chicken when he and the armed man's wife heard gunfire and hid in the coop. It's a strange part of the story, eh? Meanwhile, the injured officer was dragged 100 metres to safety by his hero colleagues, one of whom is understood to have driven the ambulance carrying his injured mate to Maryborough Hospital, while paramedics treated him in the back. Two women and two children managed to escape during the hours-long standoff, and Mr. O'Shea was later found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police confirmed 11 officers attended a domestic violence matter at a property on Horizon Court, Yangari, near Maryborough, about 5:45 p.m. on Friday, so that would be the 24th of July. Officers had attempted to engage with O'Shea before the first-year officer sustained a gunshot wound to the leg. Addressing the media on Saturday morning, Acting Superintendent Brad Inskip said multiple rounds were fired at responding officers, with a bullet causing some serious injuries to the leg of one male officer. It was very shortly after the officers arrived that the offender began shooting at police. Acting superintendent said the officers was dragged 100 metres to safety by his colleagues before he was taken to Maryborough Hospital, later flown to the Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital in a stable condition. The 36-year-old was undergoing surgery at RBWH on Saturday. He is receiving expert medical care, and the QPS has taken responsibility for notifying his immediate family, a union spokesman said. Um, so, acting inspector, has said that O'Shea was not a licensed weapons holder but was known to police. Specialised police attended scene shortly after 9:20 p.m. and found O'Shea dead during a search of the property. So the acting inspector told media there were two women and two children in the home who self-extracted during the night. The gunman had suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Queensland Police Union President Shane Pryor confirmed the shot officer was due to be heading to another station in the following days. Was 1 year to the day that he graduated from the police academy. Pryor said it sent a chill down his spine receiving the phone call. Hearing the extent of the injuries and what his mates had to do to get him out of harm's way. When police arrived at the address, they immediately were set upon by a volley of shots from a rifle. In those first rounds of firing, our officer was shot. Price said that the officer attempted to apply first aid to himself, but due to the sheer blood loss, he had to call for a colleague. The colleague put aside his safety, immediately left his cover to aid his partner. He helped him apply a tourniquet to that leg, saving his leg while he was also being shot at. Public Safety Preservation Act, the PSPA declaration that was made at 5:45 was eventually revoked at 11:36. Queenslanders should be extraordinarily proud of the officers here in Queensland, but in particular our officers here in Maryborough and what they did last night. And this is what Mr. Pryor said. Just take note of the extent of this story. So the matter will be investigated by Ethical Standards Command with oversight by the Crime and Corruption Commission. And the Queensland Police Union, in a statement, said it joined with the family of the injured officer in thanking the police family and broader community for their messages of support. So, yeah, our thoughts and our prayers go out to this officer. First year Connie in getting shot. That's quite remarkable. So, yeah, really do hope and pray that he will make it through unscathed in the end with just nothing more than a scar, a small scar, and some, memories that hopefully he'll be able to get rid of, bad memories. But look at the length of this story. This is what happened. So let's go over to another story that happened. I believe this is yesterday in Cairns. Two people shot by police during altercation in Cairns. So two people have been shot by police in Far North Queensland. Authorities were called to an address in Mount Sheridan, a suburb of Cairns, just after 5 p.m. after reports of a man armed with knives. Police say they attempted to engage with the man before he was shot by officers. A woman was also shot during the altercation. The Queensland Ambulance Service says they have both been taken to the Cairns hospital. They are both in a stable condition. So I've been looking around because I saw this yesterday and there wasn't a lot of information. So I thought, oh, I'll wait and see. There'll be more information come out tomorrow, surely. So I got that story. Nothing much there. Another article. Yep. Police involved in shooting incident in Cairns. Far North Queensland, law enforcement officials have shot two individuals. The incident occurred in Mount Sheridan. Following alerts about a man wielding knives. According to police reports, efforts were made to communicate with the man before he was ultimately shot by the officers. A woman was also injured during the confrontation and subsequently shot. The Queensland Ambulance Service has confirmed that both individuals were transported to Cairns Hospital, where they are currently listed in stable condition. Very, very minimal information there coming from, as opposed to, now, first off, before I say anything else, okay, this is not, I'm not having a go at the officers involved in the shooting at all. Nothing to do with them. Definitely, okay, the chap that was shot and all these officers who were very brave, very brave. You're getting shot at. It is a hard thing to do to put your head up and say, okay, I'm going to go and help a mate, and I'm also going to go and drag him to safety, approximately 100 meters away. That is some heroic effort, and I'm sure they'll get a medal, but they deserve a lot more than just a medal. But look, okay, and then you got officers going to another job up in Cairns. Someone's wielding knives. Again, very dangerous situation. Your life is in danger. However, listen, all I want to say, I do not want to take away at all from the obvious bravery from obviously the officers down in Maryborough and the young officer that was shot. Also, the officers up in Cairns who are confronting someone who's getting around threatening behavior with knives. That's a very dangerous situation. However, the Queensland Police Service needs to be just as open and transparent with all their stories. You've got the story down in Maryborough where everything shines a really great light on the Queensland Police Service, the way they reacted to the situation. You've got a lot of sympathy and empathy because the police officer was injured, was shot, and yet you have all these officers stand up bravely and, help support his injury, drag him, put their own lives at risk and drag him to safety, take him to the hospital, drive the ambulance while the ambulance officers are seeing to his wounds. That's a great PR story. And there's a lot of openness and a lot of transparency. You give out all this information. But when it comes to a member of the public being shot by police, which is probably just as brave a situation, these officers are confronting someone with a knife. But the Queensland Police Service don't treat that story with the same openness, the same transparency. They don't give out the same amount of information when it comes to these stories. To me, I believe this is part of the reason why the public don't trust police, because they pick and choose when they want to be open and transparent. They say it in their little spiel, in our commitment to being open and transparent and all that rubbish they give out. But then, when a police officer's in trouble, when a police officer gets charged with something, when a police officer's done something, and they have to be disciplined for it, then QPS isn't open, isn't transparent, doesn't give out all the information, doesn't give out all the details, gives very minimal details. They need to be consistent in their details, and you would find that a lot more of the public would have greater trust for you. Don't just pick and choose. You got a great story here in Maryborough, which is good for PR. Okay, what about the one in Cairns? Why can't you give out more information and be more transparent about what happened in Cairns? Surely there's more to say than, yeah, he had a couple of knives, officers attended, and some people got shot, got nothing more to say. It's just a big contrast. When it suits, when it looks good for you, then QPS, they'll give you all the information in the world. Anyway, this is just my opinion. Let me know what you think. I think QPS would be far better off if they were just open, transparent, gave out a lot more information, a lot more details, and the public could see that they didn't shy away from the truth. This is, I think, is a big issue, not just with police, but with government in general here in Australia. They always like to shy away from the truth. They're always behaving like they're hiding something. This is all just my opinion. Thanks very much for listening.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Got my head down low.